Hello everyone, long time no see. So today I wanted to talk about 10 albums that I really love, and I was gonna do my top 10 albums of all time, but I realized that that is really challenging. Also, my opinion is bound to change, and this would just be so much easier because I can do multiple parts to this. And yeah, if you guys are interested in any of the albums I talk about, I will have the title and the artist on the screen as I talk about them. I will also have links down below to listen on Spotify if you guys are interested. If you don't have Spotify, I'm pretty sure that all of these are uploaded to YouTube. If not, then they might be on other streaming services. And also, these are not in order at all. I'm just reading them in the order that I wrote them down in. And this is also just my personal opinion. If you guys disagree with me, that is completely fine. I would love to hear your list. Also, lastly, I'm going to be reading everything off of my phone, so if you see me looking down, that is why. Now let's get into the list. The first one that I have on my list is V, pronounced 5, by Maroon 5. This was released in 2014. I was introduced to this album in middle school. I have loved it ever since. Maroon 5's music now definitely isn't as good as it used to be, but I really do enjoy this album. I think that it is a great pop album front to back, and it's mainly on here for nostalgia, but I would still recommend it. I think it's awesome. Next is going to be Control by SZA. This was released in 2017, and can we talk about the great album cover? An amazing album cover, definitely one of my favorites. I think that SZA just did what she needed to do on this album. Very purposeful. I love that I can relax in my bed to this album, I can drive to this album, I can get my life to this album, and I just love that you can tell the work that she put into it. Just everything about this album is incredible, and I highly recommend it. I also really do love her new song as well, and I can't wait to see what she releases next. Next is going to be Melodrama by Lorde, which was released in 2017. I first got into Lorde because I was listening to one of her songs on her first album, Pure Heroine, on Spotify, and Spotify went on shuffle because at the time I did not have Spotify Premium, and another song played, and I was like, wow, I really like this song. So I listened to her whole first album, loved it, became a fan then. The second album came out, I was excited about it. I listened to it the first time, I didn't like it, which is shocking in retrospect, but I listened to it again, loved the album, and again, a great album cover. Her first album was already amazing, self-written at 16, incredible, but to come back with this album, amazing. And I just love everything about this album. This album doesn't have any skips for me, which is really rare. Usually I have a skip or two on every album that I listen to. And yeah, I'm really surprised that this album did not win a Grammy. Lorde was robbed. She deserved all the awards for this incredible album. Highly recommend it if you guys have not heard of her already. Next is going to be 25 by Adele, which was released in 2016. I love how purposeful this album was. I love Adele's voice on this. Absolutely love. And I was listening to her past two albums a while back, and they just don't grab me the way that this one does. I think that this is by far her best record, and she really outdid herself with this one. I can't wait to see what she does next. Next on the list is 1989 by Taylor Swift. This was released in 2014. This is the first album by Taylor Swift that I heard all the way through, and can I just say, what an incredible pop album. Definitely one of the best pop albums of the 2010s period. On the regular edition, I do not have any skips. On the deluxe edition, I only have one skip, which is You're in Love. Some people like the song. I honestly do not get what people see in the song, especially given the backstory, but we move. And my favorite song on the album is definitely Wildest Dreams. I also really enjoy Style and Clean, but the entire album is really good, and I highly recommend if you guys are looking for pop albums to get into. I also just recommend Taylor Swift's discography in general. Next is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. This was released in 1967. I am actually wearing a Sgt. Pepper shirt right now, funny enough, for this video. I have it on here just because it's my favorite Beatles album currently. It used to be Rubber Soul, and then it was a White Album, now it's Sgt. Pepper's. I love everything about this album. Amazing album cover, one of the best ones in history, period. I love the concept behind this album, the fact that they didn't want to be the Beatles, so they came up with another persona. Also, I am pretty sure that this is the first concept album of all time. If I'm wrong, please let me know down below in the comments. But there's just so many songs on here. John and Paul's harmonies on She's Living Home, incredible. Within You Without You does not get the credit that it deserves, which is really saddening because the instrumentation on that track alone makes it one of the best ones on the album. I really like Fixing a Hole. I like Paul's granny songs in general. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I just think that they're really cute songs. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, A Day in the Life, like I basically named almost every single track on the album. That's how good that this album is, and I just love the Beatles. I highly recommend listening to this album if you guys want to get into classic rock or older albums, or just really listening to pretty much any album in the Beatles discography. Their discography is so incredible, and yeah, I just really love this album. Next is Harry Styles, his debut album, which is self-titled, which came out in 2017. Now, I really love this album. My favorite song is definitely Sweet Creature, which definitely sounds like Blackbird by the Beatles, which is one of my favorite Beatles songs. And I love how he can have a song like that and Kiwi are on the same album. And I also love Ever Since New York. That song is so personal. Just everything about this album, I love that you can tell that it has a 60s and 70s influence, because I love that kind of music. I was just talking about the Beatles, as you guys saw. The only song that I don't like is Woman. I've just never liked that song. I skip it every single time. If you like it, you know, good for you, but just not for me. Next is A Night at the Opera by Queen. This was released in 1975. I think that this is by far Queen's best album. The only other album that I would consider on par with this is A Day at the Races. If you disagree, that is your opinion, but that's just my take on it. But the fact that 39 is on this album, You're My Best Friend, and Bohemian Rhapsody, not to mention all the other great songs that they have on this album, I think it just really shows how amazing Queen is. And I really like that every single member of Queen wrote their own songs and that they were released to us. I think that that makes them really special and makes them stand out. And I think that this is just an amazing album that definitely deserves a listening to if you have not heard it already. Next is Lemonade by Beyonce. This was released in 2016. This was the first Beyonce project that I have heard in full. I really need to go back and listen to her entire discography, I know. But what I really loved about this project in particular, I love that she did music videos for every single song. I love when artists do that. She also did this for her self-titled album, which came out in 2014. And I think Beyonce's artistry is just something unique that we don't really see. I can tell that she puts a lot of effort into her music, and I really appreciate that. I hate when I listen to albums and I can tell that the artist just phoned it in, but I never really get that sense with Beyonce. I can tell that she really pours all of herself into her work, and I think that that's very admirable. And this project is just so cohesive and an amazing body of work. Highly recommend this project if you have not heard it already. Next is Anti by Rihanna. This was also released in 2016. I heard somewhere that they wanted Rihanna to take a certain direction with this album, and she said, no, I'm going to do what I want, and she released this. And I'm so glad that she did, because I love this album. I'm pretty sure that this was the first album I heard by Rihanna in full. And the fact that Close to You is on here, that might be my favorite song. And she also has Consideration with SZA as the first opening track. Just so many great songs on here. The only song that I don't like is Woo. I've just never liked that song. But overall, this is a really solid project. I don't know if Rihanna is ever going to release another album again. I would love her to. But if she's not, then I think that this is a really strong album to end her entire career on. The last album on this list is going to be The Either Will by Fiona Apple. This album was released in 2012. And what I really love about this album is Fiona's lyrics. She is so introspective and talking about her life, and it makes me reflect on my life and my own experiences, and that is what's going to sell me on an artist. My favorite artists of all time have the best lyrics, and there's just something about their music that is so personal to me and just has a connection that few artists actually do. And you know, she's really encroaching on my favorite artist at this time. And this album, I just don't know what else to say about it other than I really love it. It's really connected with me, and I think that it is a fantastic album. And I'm really glad that she released Fetch the Bolt Cutters this year. I listened to it and I didn't like it at first, and I had to revisit it a while back, and I've loved it ever since. And trust me, I will be talking about that album in another video. But yeah, just an amazing lyricist, and I think more people should definitely check out Fiona Apple and her work. She is amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like down below. You can also hit the red subscribe button right down below to be notified every time I post. If you hit the bell next to that, then you get a notification to your phone every time I post. And you guys can also check out my second channel, be the first link down below in the description, and my Twitter and my Instagram as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.